we're just here tonight on behalf of Ghaeloideachas, which, as Katie said, would be an independent national organisation who support the development of Irish medium education in the country from preschool to secondary school level within the Gaeltacht areas and outside of the Gaeltacht areas. So we're going to talk quite generally. Okay, so Clíona, Rocky Tusan Chinner Dús.
So speisialta, so céir tala den vanish. So this is a really exciting time. It's a really special time, and sometimes parents wonder, what should I be doing now? So while it is a hugely significant time and it's a very special time, it is a natural transition. It happens all the time, and it's important for your child and for you and for the family to stay nice and calm and relaxed. Talk a little bit about the school. The school might provide an open morning and the child can go in and meet the teacher in the classroom and see the classroom and that. If you're driving by, it might be a local school and you can say, oh, that's where you'll be going in September, and just that they familiarize themselves with it. Practice simple skills. I can completely appreciate it. So much easier in the morning to zip up the coat and out the door, but children are far more independent than we think, and it is important, particularly if they go into a big class, that they're able to zip up their coat. Lunch boxes, the lunch boxes could be absolutely lovely, but can they open them and close them, that kind of thing. Lunch, keep it nice and simple, peeling the oranges, cutting things up, that time goes quite quickly and they're very busy chatting and that. So it's important to keep lunch simple. Toileting, you will have prepared them that their teacher is only going to speak Irish, and sometimes children find it that they can't ask maybe in English, or teacher won't understand me. So reassure them that there is a bathroom there, you can ask teacher in English, and that can be a bit of a concern for kids sometimes. And bags, not too big, not too small, just the right size for the folders. All these little things to bear in mind. Following instructions, like how are they at following your instructions at home? Naturally, they'll be following our instructions in Irish, but a lot of gestures happen and indicating and that kind of thing. So there's kind of comprehension in that. See how they get on with the instructions. Dropping off and collecting, is a big one. So keep your child informed and keep the school as well. Maybe it could be a special pickup, mama or dada are coming, or it could be a play date, just so they're aware when they come out at the end of the day who's there for them, particularly in the first couple of weeks. The academic side of things, some of you will have done the alphabet, or they'll have covered letters and sounds and that kind of thing. This isn't necessary. It's not something to focus on too much at the beginning. I'll chat a little bit about that again later. Ghaeilge can be a concern, a big worry for parents. Your own level of Irish, how is your child going to cope in total immersion? Again, I'll touch on that later. As I said at the beginning, keep it fun and exciting. There will be nerves. There has to be nerves. There's nerves with any big transition. But it's good preparation for them to, communicate with them about it and make it playful, answer any questions they have, and just build it up to this exciting time rather than focusing too much on nerves and that. Okay.
Just going to jump in there for a second. I just want to reiterate again that, we're going to talk about the Irish a lot, obviously, in a few minutes, but the junior infant teachers, they're not expecting the children to come in to school with any specific level of Irish. They're not expecting them to come in with any specific reading level, any knowledge of sounds, any knowledge of letters. They're not expecting them to be able to write their names or to write anybody else's names. What we say is the children are where they are, and it's our responsibility to take them where they are. So you don't need to worry about, you don't need to compare your child to anybody else, any other child starting junior infants. They are where they are, and they start in school, and that's where the teachers then work on the ground and bring them on from where they are. Okay. Now, so how does a Gaelscoil operate? Okay, I can't visualize how it works. So this is a question that not only comes from parents that are new coming into the system, but also comes from people that would come visiting the schools. And as a school, we get a lot of visitors that would come in for various different reasons. And it's something we hear all the time. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I couldn't visualize it before. And now I'm completely in awe of how it works. You know, it's so natural for the children, but it's hard to visualize it. So what is an Irish medium school? So basically an Irish medium school, or a Gaelscoil, is a school that carries out all affairs of daily life through the medium of Irish. Classes are taught as Gaeilge, staff converse as Gaeilge, and the pupils' ability to communicate completely as Gaeilge, both inside and outside the school gates, is fostered, encouraged and reinforced from the moment they set foot into the school. Okay, so what we always say to parents here in our school, and again, all the schools are different, but it's the teacher is the only person in the infant classroom who is, I suppose, mandated to speak as Gaeilge, or who's been told to speak as Gaeilge. When the students come in, they're going to communicate in whatever way is natural to them. That may be using speech, or it may not be using speech, and it'll be using whatever language is most natural to them. So it could be any language, okay? And that's what they're going to do. But as teachers, we are bringing in our skills to teach them Irish as quickly as we can. And it's basically lots of songs are being sung, lots of poems are being recited, languages used in different ways, because people acquire languages in different ways. All children acquire language in different ways. Some children will love just the individual words and naming things, nouns, buska brúsker, fuinneog, orlor, cahir, board, buscalone, and they'll pick them up that way. Other children will pick it up so much quicker in a song. So you're going to sing songs, and the next thing they're singing the songs back to you, and they have the words. Other children will love repetition. So you might be saying every day, you know, tá sé nám, dul amach sa close fáistí, and every day at lunchtime you're saying tá sé nám, dul amach sa close fáistí, and they're picking up that phrase because they know it's time to go out to the yard. So it's very much, it's all in context, it's all very active. The children are not trying to break it down like adults do sometimes. We just get stuck in, and then very, very quickly the children are starting to use maybe their one word into two words, or you know, and then it will develop from there. And it'll happen very quickly. So the teacher will speak Irish first. Some children will come into the Gaelscoil with Irish, and they may be speaking straight away as Gaeilge with the teacher. There might be a few children in the class who have Irish, they'll speak together, but in general, teacher will speak Irish, children will speak English. After a while, you'll hear the children start to use a few words in Irish, buska brúsker, deireadh, leanaí. After a while, you'll start to hear a few phrases. They'll start to sing songs before you've asked them to sing the songs. They'll give you the phrases you've been teaching them, and then they'll pull the words out that they know, and very quickly then they're making their own independent sentences. And it's amazing in junior infants, the progress from September to the end of the year. There is absolutely no comparison. It's the best job in the world when you see them coming on so well. So that's just about that. And obviously, we're in a Gaelscoil, we're following the oideachais umlán, and a rís tá gach scoil difriúil. But I suppose schools are going to vary from 1 year to maybe 2.5 years, where they completely immerse the children in the Irish language. Okay, so no English will be heard in school. What we're trying to do is we're trying to normalise the language for the child in their school environment. We're trying to give them sufficient language to be able to communicate their own needs and to communicate with each other in school, and also give them sufficient language to be able to access the curriculum and all the different subjects in Irish. And that's why we immerse them completely for that period of time. Us here, we do it for 2 years. So junior infants and senior infants, there's no English classes. Once they start into first class, then they start their English class every day. And the research all shows that it's this full immersion programme that's the most beneficial for children. It's the best way to teach a language. And I suppose what happens then is children will associate Irish with their school. So whatever Gaelscoil they're in, that's the building where you speak Irish. And it's amazing, parents will say to us that they're walking to school and they'll hit a specific point, either at the gate, just outside the gate, or just inside the gate, and it swaps. They'll go straight into Gaeilge. And that's brilliant. But then as a schools and as yourself as parents, you might want to extend that out. So after we have established the school as being an Irish environment, we try to get the Irish language out of the school. And that happens when they start having play dates with each other, or when you start attending maybe things that are organised in the area through Irish, and suddenly they're bringing their Irish out and they realise that it's a living, breathing language. And obviously then, whatever the period of time is in your school that the children are immersed in Irish, it will come to an end where English will be introduced as another language. So as I say, for us, it's first class. But the new curriculum that has come out, the new language curriculum, very much emphasises this transfer of skills. So the primary language curriculum has the same structure and strands for both languages, English and Irish. It is an integrated curriculum that makes connections across and within languages, and that seeks to support the transfer of skills between languages. Okay, so sorry, right here. So basically that's important, okay? Because if you think of Irish and English, they're very similar. You know, you're using the same alphabet. The actual symbols of the alphabet are the same. The children after 2 years will be speaking in Irish, will be reading in Irish, will be writing in Irish, and then they'll start into English. And a lot of those skills will transfer over. They're going to have English from their community if they don't have English at home, but they probably will have. The letters in the alphabet are the same. Yes, in Irish, you know, we have the guthi and the Sheena Fada, and they'll have all that. So in English, then you'll be teaching maybe specific phonics to English, but a lot of it does transfer over, and they don't have any issues transferring their Irish skills into the English language whenever that starts. So that's just an important point to make, and it was great to see the department kind of make that connection for us and help us with that. Nish, Clíona.
Okay, so machom is the Gaeilge, so seo is buirte seo dancha tuismitheoirí tá siad tosú amach. So your own Irish ability. So it's a question we often get, you know, in our beginning of year meeting. You know, how am I going to converse, or does my level of Irish matter? First of all, just simply don't worry about your Irish language abilities, okay? So you might have a couple of focal. A lot of it actually does come down to confidence. So as your child picks up the language more, you might pick up the language more, and you might have your dírithe chun slán agus gcóras. But you know, there's no judgment from the Gaelscoil, from the teacher, from any member of staff. You know, it's a personal choice if you decide to use your couple focal. Do we love to hear it? Absolutely. Do we expect it, and do we put pressure? No. And it's also important to bear in mind, you know, as I said, I have 31 junior infants, and like the vast majority of children who start in Gaelscoil don't speak Irish at home, and I have two families of the 31 that I have. So put the worry out of your heads about your own level of Irish, okay? And you'll actually see yourself progress over the year as your child picks it up. In relation to the children's level of Irish, they're little sponges. You probably hear that all the time. Póla referred to the vocab and the phrases, songs. It's Groundhog Day in infants. It's repetition all the time. But it is a process, and it doesn't happen overnight. So, you know, they might come up to Halloween and the glazed look has gone, you know, and they're not asking you to repeat it. Coming around then to Christmas, you know, they're using, again, every child is different. They might have words or they might have phrases. And as you head on into the new year, then the conversations are starting, you know. So it's a year process. Don't expect it to happen overnight, you know. So don't worry about yourselves, and certainly don't worry about the children. They will flourish. Schools are very good at supporting parents as well, you know, putting you know, any correspondence out in both languages. So policies, newsletters, classes, that kind of thing. My own platform is Seesaw for my own parents, you know, so it goes out in both Irish and English, any homework or, you know, notices that I may have. So nobody is left in the dark. Everyone's provided for. So certainly put worry out of your heads in relation to your own ability with Irish. So, sure.
Yeah, just to say, Clíona, before you go on there, we were a goyer on Seimineár at assembly. We have assembly every Friday, and just before we started, they were all settling down to go, and then a few of the junior infants were chatting away, and I was just about to say, you know, cuteness, until I realised they were all like leanaí. So I looked up and Clíona said, we'll have to wait for them. We let them finish, and then we'll start our assembly, because they were all conversing by themselves as Gaeilge. We were delighted. So this is the time of year you see the progress.
Yeah, and Póla said as well, it is the best job, particularly why I've spent so long with infants, is when it clicks. It's so rewarding for them, you know, and for us as teachers. So moving on, just when I referred there to your cúpla focal, if you do decide to go down the route where you want to add to the cúpla focal you may have, or pick up a few phrases, there are supports out there for you. So Déann Córan with Ghaeloideachas on the Ghaeloideachas website is fantastic. You'll see there on the right hand side, it covers a range of subjects. A lot of those will be covered in class, colours, shapes. You'll hear your child saying these naturally at home in Irish, you know, jar, gur, marashta. They'll nearly have forgotten the English, they'll be using the Irish at home. But, you know, there are options there for you as well, phrases to use at school, or phrases for notes and emails. So you might decide, you know, I feel a little bit more confident, you know, I might send an email, and you can open the email, you know, with Irish, or close it. does it matter if there are grammatical errors? Absolutely not. Nobody cares about that. So, you know, so that's one resource that could add to your cúpla focal. Another option are online classes. So, you know, ask the school as well about local Irish classes. I know there's a cúr on our local GA here, and that was, you know, on Instagram and on Facebook and that. So keep an eye out for things like that. The school might provide classes. Other options are online classes. You can have a look at them, you know, if you choose to go down that route. So Clíona Ní Dhúshláine, Gaelscoil, Ghaeloideachas, they all provide online classes, you know, and some parents decide kind of, you know, as the year progresses that they might like to attend a class or two, you know, so that's another option there. Agus.
Yeah, tá cúpla green graph and shot. These are, I suppose, in particular, they're probably in relation to Kildare. That's where we are. But the likes of Kildare le Gaeilge, Gaeilge Nuda, Gaeilge an Bhradán, Glór an Curry, they're all basically local community groups that were established to promote the Irish language in the local community. So I'm sure if you were to have a look in your local community, you will find, you know, at least some supports out there to help you, maybe with your Irish, or in the future, maybe to organise events that you could attend with your child. And obviously, like the Maynooth University or the local universities, the local secondary schools sometimes do a lot of those classes at night time, the libraries. So just keep a lookout, because you may think there's nothing there for you, but actually when you look a little bit deeper, there probably are. Just nor a hagan sé quick technoliacht. We all love our technology. There's some great resources out there, you know, and really these are just very, very few, but the folklore.ie, changlan.ie, terma.ie, they would be very good just for like dictionary work, for looking for an Irish word, for looking for an English word. The changlan.ie is great because you can actually choose your dialect. So if you put in even shoppa and press if you want your Gaeilge na Moon or Gaeilge Connemara or Gaeilge say Gunanail na Gaeilge an Tuisgart, tosú an sin a chuirteach, and you'll hear it pronounced in that dialect. So that's really helpful. The one down the bottom there, aber.ie, is relatively new and it's fantastic. I would recommend you go and have a little play with it, go expree. You just have to set it up. It takes about a minute just to identify your voice, and then you can speak in to it. You can speak as Gaeilge and it'll type it for you. So, you know, is misha Póla, is múntar bun scoil me. It'll recognize my speech. It'll type out what I've said. You could also type in maybe a sentence from an Irish book. If your child down the line had some sentence in a book they didn't understand, you can type in that sentence and it will read it back for you, and it'll read it back for you. I'm trying to think now as a translator, I can't think now, but it's speech to text. So you talk, it'll text it, or you put the text in and it'll tell you how to say it. So it's really, really good. You could copy and paste from something online and put it in. So just go and have a look at that one. Now, Rachmid Quig Takiachti is soca the tuismitheoirí a bhfuinnsla over na báistí.
Over na báistí. So yeah, cuid lárnach den Naíonáin bheagas soca na túismitheoirí. So I referred to the academic side of things earlier, you know, not to focus too much on that at the beginning, but obviously sounds and phonics will be covered throughout the year. So the school will have chosen a particular scheme to follow, but there are tons of resources out there to help, like these small little books, we have them. So obviously the initial sounds in the Irish alphabet will all be covered. This is B, for example. Lots of words there, all starting with B. And I have actually introduced those books at this point because an awful lot of the sounds are covered, and then they're starting to blend them together and recognizing them. Again, not all children can do this. You know, they're moving at their own pace. The pictures are obviously a big hint, so I often cover them, you know, and that kind of encourages them to sound it out and to blend. But that is also online. You know, a lot of guys going to have these books, so you might see your child coming home with it or see photos of them using it, and it's also available to you online. So that's just one example of a great resource for initial sounds. Other options are as well, you know, if you choose to do it between now and September, or even while your child is attending a Gaelscoil, is to play songs and stories in Irish for them, you know, be it in the car or at home. So SoundCloud here is great. So you'll recognize an Garvan, the Gruffalo here. So if you have the book at home, you know, the children could follow the book. And honestly, they actually don't even realize, I know if we play these for them and that, there's no comment made like, I don't know what that is, or I don't understand that or anything. They just naturally fall into it, listen to the song. So they're fantastic. They're on YouTube and you can throw them on in the car or at home. Same with the songs. So a lot of schools, will cover, for example, Googly Gogas here. It's on YouTube. You can see the songs there. If they're thrown on in the car, the children may have covered it in class and suddenly they're singing along, or they're soaking it up all the time. They'll pick it up so quickly and you'll be singing it yourselves, I'm sure, by the end of it as well. Another one, Irish songs we learned at school, you'll recognise some of these songs yourselves with John Spillane. So I always have these on in the background when the children are working. So whether we're covering Body Naíonáin or Thrasna na Dunta, it doesn't matter. It's just continuously when they're playing, they're writing along and they're colouring and they don't even realise that they're singing it. So that's lovely to see, them all singing away. So again, personal choice, but you could throw them on so they're listening away to them. So Shade on She is a comprehensive resource pack. It's a certain program that schools might follow. It's the Bible, really. We use it here, and it has everything. From songs, rhymes, drama, word, vocab, phrases. Comes with puppets and posters and everything, and it has the online resource as well. If your school does use this, I wouldn't worry too much about exploring the whole website. But those little books, they're fabulous. So we have them here in school, and they can't read at the beginning of the year, but we discuss the photos and things like that. And it's audio, so you can click into it and your child will be able to give you, again, as Póla mentioned earlier, the words. So they mightn't have the phrase, but chicken, agus lug, agus curcra, So again, another fabulous online resource. So I mentioned phonics. So each school will pick a particular phonics scheme. So Sean Game Maradair Fa, Game than Sco, agus úsad mu right so tríd na scoile. So this is a great phonics scheme, and it focuses primarily, the foundation there in junior infants are your initial sounds and moving on. And as I said, it's a process. So, they'll do the initial sounds, they'll move on to blending. And then as Maradairfa develops up the school, it leads on to reading fluency and to written and spelling accuracy in that. So again, a process, but you'll know quick enough, I suppose, what phonics scheme your own school has chosen. So Cóid na Gaeilge is another online resource. So look, I suppose while we don't want to spend too much time on technology, we do have to roll with the times, and the apps are there, the resources are there, they're fantastic. There's no harm, 5 or 10 minutes blast on the iPad, if you know what sounds are being covered that week, or what words your child, maybe later in the year. And there's just so much out there online, and the kids love them. So we do them on the interactive whiteboard. We might do, 3 or 4 minutes, and I sometimes send that link home. That's totally up to the school and up to the class. But you yourself, can have a look and see what's out there to help your child in the academic side of things. So Sin Cóid na Gaeilge áisiúntach an sin. So yeah, so cad gur féidir le bhíonn a niche agus sibh teachta dro man for. So we mentioned a few of these, so what you can do now. So what I would say is very, as I said about SoundCloud and YouTube and that, is that they're listening to it. So regardless of what they know, what's being said, it's soaking it up, and that you can say, oh, do you hear that? That's what your Múinteoir is going to be speaking, in September. So you've Radio na Gaelscoil, there, Radio na Lifa, Radio Rira, play these in the car at home. TG Cahar and Cúla Cahar are great. So Cúla Cahar, it isn't all just cartoons either. My children love it's ullmhú, so it's about science, and they're doing, there's children coming on and they're doing little science experiments. You have Blockivrica, so number blocks as Gaeilge, so they're hearing the numbers and addition and all of that. On a Friday we have a treat, so it's SpongeBob, and again, from day one, they never commented on the fact that they didn't understand it or anything. They're completely engrossed, and announced to themselves they're picking it up all the time because they're completely immersed in it. Use your cúpla focal, we've talked about that a couple of times, in your own time, no pressure. The audiobooks with the picture books. use your Gaeilge. Póla mentioned there that as they come to the school and that time changes and the children start to speak Irish, it's not a bad idea to do the opposite. So when you pick your child up, maybe just the walk from there to the car or for a couple of minutes in the car, ask them, what did you do today, and get them to tell you in Irish, and they will, like, little things will start to come out more as the year goes on. So you could use a time, or it could be back, the Dane Cora I mentioned at the beginning has phrases for dinner time, or, again, a personal choice, but it does bring the Gaeilge, as Póla said, outside of the school and into the home. Agus do dhaoine is tóca go bhfuil Gaeilge acu agus fána chud agaibh é freastal ar na Gaelscoil agus do Gaeilge agus. Déanaí iireachta tá gháil a dhéanamh le clánta eile sa ceantar, sa scoil, páistí eile sa rang, imeachtaí agrú, búla le céile agus mar sin de le chur leis an Gaeilge atá agé féin agus an Gaeilge atá a ólam ag bháistí. So bú, ceiste chur cé acu bhfuil Gaeilge.
Just Ken on Shane Clean with our Bronum, Deireadh reached the Naguini leg Gaeilge. Sometimes there's parents out there who actually have Irish, but they haven't spoken Irish at home, or they haven't spoken Irish to their child, and they're wondering how can they make that transition. They're preparing their child to start in the Gaelscoil and they'd like to speak a little bit of Irish, but they might get, like, initially, Mommy, what are you doing? Like, what are you talking to me as Gaeilge for initially? So I suppose just a bit of advice would be maybe to choose a particular activity every day, or choose a particular time of the day and speak Irish to your child at that time if you have it. So it might be breakfast, it could be just the bedtime story before they go into bed, it could be dinner time, dinner table, and just choose one particular time. Agus leabhar the fáiste as Gaeilge ag an am sin, agus an sin pick a rash ar an merla in sin. So it's just a nice one for people that have the Irish. Do it and just try it. It'll work fine, guarantee.
Anwa. Okay, so Tá rudí eile seachas an taobh acu dú rudí go gaiimiid Béim ar thu in Naíonáin. So Seachalan san sinna, it's important to show what else we put an emphasis on in infants. So, leabhar na Gaeilge, we've talked about that a good bit. So they're completely immersed in it, and that's all they're hearing from us. And we get very funny phrases at the beginning, in the first couple of weeks, but they get used to it very quickly. So obviously we know it's total immersion. Irish is a big aspect of it. Sounds and phonics, I've covered that. It follows a certain process, and it takes the year, and your child will move, at a different pace. Play is a huge part of it. So there might be structured play in the morning or structured play in the afternoon. That's completely up to the teacher. And then there's play throughout the day incorporated into all of the other subjects. And that leads on to movement breaks. We all know infants can't sit for very long. So, while there is the importance of instruction and the tasks and various things that they need to do, they need to be up and moving. So, generally between the transition from one subject or one lesson into another, thankfully, the fabulous weather we're having at the moment, it's out, get them out as much as possible. Fine motor skills is a big one. So I personally spend, a good 5-6 weeks focusing on fine motor skills right from the get-go. So, we'd have a lot of stations. There's no point in kind of going down the road of, when they start their handwriting and that their hands are too weak. They need to build up the muscle in their hands. So we do a lot. You might have simple things at home like jigsaws and bricks and things like that, and use and continue to use them kind of over the summer months. Putty, and even the stronger putty, like, they're really good as well. But like that's what the first good couple of weeks is spent on. We continue throughout the year, but September is important for that. Now, again, it's completely up to yourselves if you choose to do some work on fine motor skills over the next few months. But what I would say, one thing, my advice would be, if your child can't use a scissors, do that between now and September. So while we do work on fine motor skills, cutting is kind of something that, they'll be doing a lot of art, a lot of little tasks, sticking, like cutting and sticking, and that can be really tough if they don't know how to hold a scissors. So by the small ones, different bits of paper, let them make a right old mess, cutting away, just make sure that the grip is right, and that will benefit them when they come in September. Gross motor skills, they aren't easy for all children. They need to be developed, for PE and other aspects of school. So we develop them, we work on that a lot. Social skills and emotional skills, again, that doesn't come naturally to every child, and every child is different. So, they're coming into a completely different setting, lots of other children, lots of dynamics, little friendships, the aspect of sharing, which doesn't come easy to every child either. Or, some children are fantastic socially and they're fine, and other children might stand on the periphery and they're not quite sure how to get themselves into that social setting. So it's all about, developing their confidence, and also teaching children who are socially stronger to, be inclusive and that kind of thing. So there's the two sides of it. And there's a lot of emotion involved as well. Like, be prepared for your child to be absolutely exhausted in September, and that can lead to a lot of emotion. Sometimes they're absolutely fine on day one, and then they realize on day two, we hadn't signed up for this long term, and they can get a little bit emotional about that. It can happen after Halloween sometimes, when they realize they're in it for the long haul. So, yeah, just keep an eye, tiredness, emotion, but like stay in contact with the school and with the teacher, but trust as well, that they're keeping an eye on all of these things, and that they know what they're dealing with in relation to social skills and emotional. Physical literacy is important, for developing confidence, understanding, and that the tools to partake, confidently in sport, and that leads us then, to well-being. We all know the importance of well-being. And it's so important to make sure that the children are happy, comfortable, and confident. Sin rud is tábhachtí an fallán. Okay.
Gurv Mahagat. Anish, Riachtanis Vresha. Okay. So this is an area that parents become nervous about, and the overarching message is that the Gaelscoil system is a system suitable for all children. Okay. And it's very important that everybody hears that. All children are different. All children have individual needs, and schools need a little bit of time at the start of the year to get to know your children, okay? Teachers pick up quickly enough on what works for your child, what doesn't work for your child, what motivates your child, what settles and relaxes them, and what stresses them. So they need time, and teachers will contact parents if they need a little bit of support in helping them to cater for your child, okay? And I suppose what we'd say is, if you are aware of any additional needs that your children have, that, or if you think that your child might need additional supports when they start school in September, contact the school and let them know. And the majority of schools will have something in place to enable you to, pass that information on before the child starts school, because, that's very, very important. But as I say, schools are, when you have a class starting, you are expecting it, you're waiting, you don't know what they're going to come in with, and we're ready to kind of, as I say, take them where they're at and bring them on as much as we can, okay? Just to say again that the National Council for Special Education, the NCSE, NEPS, the National Educational Psychological Services, the HSE, the Assessment of Need processes, all of these processes, they're all dealing with children in our Gaelscoil. Children in Gaelscoil are coming from the community, like any other school in the community. So we're getting all types of children that need different types of supports at different times, okay? And that's absolutely fine, and it's nothing to be worried about. And as we said earlier, we're all different. So don't worry, don't be comparing your child to some other child. My child, can't write their name, my child can't read, my child, really doesn't love large groups of people, and my child can get very nervous, my child is very quiet, my child, that's fine. That's what children are. That's fantastic, and that needs to be celebrated. But let them start school, and if you have any concerns, obviously as parents, or if the teachers or the staff, would like some additional information, they will contact you, and it's all to cater for the children, and that's our job as teachers in schools. Children in Gaelscoil will receive the same supports that children in the English schools will receive. Okay, so we all have special education teachers. We can apply for supports from special SNAs, special needs assistants. We can apply for additional external supports depending on what your child's needs may be. Okay, so all the schools in the state are are entitled and go for the same resources. Now, we know there's waiting lists and there's problems, but that's across the board, okay? So don't feel, oh, I'm concerned my child, you know, may not have this or that, or may not be at this level or that level. Maybe I shouldn't be sending them to a Gaelscoil. That's just not the case. All children can succeed in Gaelscoil with the correct supports, but that will be the same as any school. And just to say there, this was just from the Ghaeloideachas website. Again, it just reiterates that the Irish medium section, whether it's the preschool, primary school, secondary school, we're well able to cater for children with additional needs or special educational needs. Okay. Now, just, I suppose, rud ag an eile polas hena scoile, now seo receive grace on. But obviously, you know, I would just say, if you have a little bit of time between now and your child starting school, you know, I would take the time just to familiarise yourself with your school's policies, you know, because the likes of the child protection, anti-bullying policy, the code of behaviour, the communication policy, and the homework policy, self-evaluation policies, complaints policies, they're all important. And there will come a time where you'll want to kind of know what's in them. So why not use the time now just to have a look? And again, schools are different, policies will be a little bit different, and they're generally coming from an overarching document that has come from the department, so they can be quite similar at times, but there can be differences. So definitely use the time now, if you can. Agus támuid tapam gan deire. So támuid na chun stopa ag caint, so Katie and Chinnsealaigh, so sean scoil Ceisteanna agus tosú agam. Like, I suppose we just hope that everybody just got something from tonight. You know, if you can go back and say, look, you've got something, we're happy. I just think it's such an exciting time, and it doesn't matter if you're a parent of your eldest child and it's your first child starting school, if it's your youngest child starting school, if it's a child in the middle. It's a hugely important time, and it needs to be celebrated. And you know, we want you to look forward to it. And Gaelscoil, you know, as I say, we're here. We're all very enthusiastic just because we're doing something a little bit different, and we're creating a lovely environment where children are really happy and they thrive, you know. And as Clíona was saying there, and I remember speaking, and every year, you know, some parents will say, it's generally not the parents, it's maybe the extended family of the parents that can build up the first day of school to this huge thing. And, you know, the children they don't know what's happening. So I would kind of, you know, tell people, look, it is a huge occasion, but to normalise it, you know, they will be fine, and schools will contact you if there's any problems. So look, best of luck with everything. Go Nairi live le gachrod, and we're here if there's any questions, obviously.
Sir fad gur míle maithe go bheirt fichte sin her chin ar fad. Just many thanks again, Clíona and Póla. I thought that was brilliant. My son will start in the Gaelscoil in Bioga this September, so I was mentally taking notes myself there. And even though I'm working in the education sector, I learned so much about what goes on inside the school, inside the classroom, that most of us parents will never know unless we get a chance to speak to the teachers. So that was amazing. Thanks to all the parents who sent in questions beforehand. I know that Póla and Clíona did cover them throughout the presentation, but is there any other questions that anybody would like to ask right now? If so, you can put up your hand or just speak out. You can unmute yourself and just speak out loud.
Awkward clue that.
Question one. Yeah, hi Natasha.
Hi, just wondering, we're also in Kildare, County Kildare, we're in Naas. Just wondering, are there any summer camps that you know of that might have a little bit of Irish in them?
Yes. What's the one outside? There's actually one. We're on an education campus here, Natasha, in Maynooth, and they're opening, I think they call it Gaeltucht from Home. I'm not familiar with them myself, but I've just sent the information out to our parents. They're running from the Maynooth Education Campus, and I think there might be 2 separate 1-week camps for primary school children, Ghaelscoil, during the summer. But if you're in Naas, Kildare le Ghaeilge is very big in Naas. And I think Cumann might also be there for clubs and that type of thing. But that's the only one I can think of, as in a 1-week.
Okay.
Camp. Yeah, and I can't. It's after. Literally now, it's after packing. I think of the name outside. There's a big poster outside the door there. If you want, Natasha, I'll send the information on to Katie. I can find it after, and you can contact Katie, and she'll give it to you just in case. But as I say, I'm not recommending it. I just know it's happening.
Okay, gur míle maith agus.
Your fault. And as I said, anybody can contact me about anything to do with this presentation or separate. My email is katie@ghaelodachas.ie. Is there any other questions, or everybody happy with that? This has also been recorded, so it will be available on YouTube and on our website. And what I'll do is I will send the recording in an email to anyone who has registered, so you'll get it there too. And just to let you know, I have sent a few links in to resources on our website, so they're all in the Busca chat in the chat box.
Hello, my name is Connie. Hello, how are you? And just have a question. My son is growing up bilingual already because I'm originally from Germany. Would that be a difficulty for him to get confused with the two languages already and then throwing the Irish in on top of it?
No, not at all, Connie. No. And it's fantastic. And I suppose your son is starting school, is it?
Yeah, he's starting in September, yeah.
Yeah. So your son is already aware that there's more than one language on this planet, if you know what I mean, that a chair can have two different names already. And he's just going to come in now and realize there's another one, and actually there's many ways to describe a chair, a physical chair. So no, absolutely not. Don't worry. You keep going with your bilingual at home, and then we start school. It's just introducing the third one. There's an awful lot of families in that situation, and it's just fantastic. There won't be any issues. Don't worry. Just be relaxed and let it happen naturally.
It's beneficial.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Hi, my name is Mandy.
Hi,
I'm just
Mandy.
wondering about the homework for helping the child. My son is starting in September, so I'm looking, will I be able to help him, or will they get a lot of homework?
Well, generally, I can only speak for our school here. We won't start homework until October. It does depend on the school. I wouldn't expect it to start too soon. Any Gaelscoil nurse schools that I know, there is quite good communication with parents on a platform. So any homework, that I have, as I said earlier, it goes up bilingually. Like, the schools are generally very open, and Póla referred to communication as well. So, you can always ask. And then there are, say the day in Cora, previous to that, things, to help with homework. But I would, if you're very concerned about that, I would approach the school. But homework anyway, I probably won't start, for a couple of weeks. Let them settle in and that. And it will be quite simple to start with. It's not going to be anything.
And as well, Clíona, just to say, Mandy, homework is just really to revise work that was covered during the day. And the majority of children, when they go home, they know exactly what their homework is. They're not doing anything new. So they'll take out the books and they'll do it, and you'll actually pick up a little bit of Ghaeilge while they're doing it, But, you can contact the school if you're stuck on a word or you don't know something. Sometimes schools have class WhatsApp groups, and sometimes the parents can put things in there and someone will help somebody else out. But no, honestly, don't worry about that, because the children will know themselves what to do. You don't need to worry.
Okay, Gurma Hugot.
Ceisteanna? Any other questions?
Hi, how are you? If I could just ask a quick question. My son is going on 6 in July, and he's actually starting a Gaelscoil ASD class in September. Now he's just he's only learning the English language at the moment. Do you see that kind of impacting or having a negative impact on his English if he was to also learn Irish at the same time?
No, I have to say, my previous school, we had autism classes. We've just opened an autism class here, and all the CNOs, the special educational needs officers, will say over the years that children in ASD classes in Gaelscoil get on really, really well. And honestly, it doesn't affect them. It's just giving them something extra. The languages will come on. As much as they're going to come on, and you're just going to be bringing on 2 languages as opposed to bringing on 1 language. It's not going to be, doing well in Irish won't affect their English, or nothing like that. It'll just actually it'll just be beneficial. So don't worry. I know it feels, again, for us thinking about it, it feels like an awful lot, but for the children who are just in naturally, they're able for it. you know, and it depends on your child. Like if, you know, maybe if he's very pre-verbal and there's not an awful lot of speech, you know, technology may be used there, and that's kind of starting to come in as well. And it could be using Irish and English there to help him communicate at home and in school. So again, don't worry. The big thing there is just to communicate with your school.
Okay, thank you. I've no doubt he'll probably be bilingual by the time he's 7.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
Brilliant. Any other questions really quickly? Because I know we're approaching the hour now. I don't want to keep anybody waiting. Yeah, we sorted now for questions. And as I said, you can contact me at my email address at any time about anything, and I'll get back to you when I can. Sin ítach ar fad gur míle maith agat a rís Póla agus Clíona. Okay, thank you so much everybody for attending. Chat soon. Slán. Gur maith agat. Slán, slán.
Gur maith agat.
Agus all more gach aine. Good best of luck to everybody in September.